I can talk a little bit about having faith, an example of faith, doing things that, I had somebody call me, he was like, hey, I have these lots I need to get sold.
Yeah.
And I could have just been like, yeah. But I made a couple phone calls. I was like, I'll make some effort. I'll make an effort.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up closing the deal. It was the easiest deal I had this year.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, you just keep on plugging along, and you end up being lucky, they call it, because you just show up every day and you grind and you find something that you think's not going to work, ends up happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are we ready?
You're already live.
You already on?
Cool. You guys are
I didn't do my my warm ups.
Yeah, you forgot warm-ups.
Yeah. Is it you do the jack-o'-lantern?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are the warm-ups?
Yeah. Jack-o'-lantern, man.
I haven't been working on those ones.
Yeah, so that's what they do, Anchorman.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't see Anchorman?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so, are we on?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Live.
All right, welcome to the S Show. We have an episode today where we're gonna do a little recap. We're gonna talk. We're just gonna talk casually like we're at a coffee shop and just go off of the cuff here. Jerry was talking about some exciting things that have been happening in his business. A lot of things happening in my business. A lot of things happening in the community. We're revamping the show. We apologize that we haven't been posting consistently, but we promise Yuma that the show will become stronger and better than ever. We have an awesome support staff. We added on somebody else, which is Edgar, and he's awesome. He's the camera guy, he's the tech guy, he's the social media guy. And
everything that we are not.
Everything that we are not. So no pressure, Edgar, but
yeah,
run with it. So those of you who don't know him, he is starting out. I know we've had a couple of media people on the show, and he is one of them that's starting out fresh, and hopefully we can learn from him as well and boost the page.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on with you, Jerry?
Well, I just want to add to the fact that I had a post come up on Facebook, it says a year ago today, and that was like 2 weeks ago, and that was like one of our first interviews. So really the S Show is not even a year old, or just barely a year old, and so it's when you get into an entrepreneurial endeavor, or physical fitness, or whatever it is that you're going for, there's that level of frustration that can occur, and you don't think it's happening fast enough. But that was pretty interesting to see that post, and to kind of watch some of our first videos. And although we do have a long way to go with what we're trying to achieve here, what we're working to achieve with the S Show, we sure have come a long way when you really look at that. And I think you forget when you get into the mix of whatever it is that you're shooting to achieve. I think you lose that context of where you were at when you started, and so that was pretty important, because I saw that and it blew me away to think, because sometimes you're like, man, it seems like it was longer than a year, but really it hasn't been that long at all.
Yeah, so I thought it was longer than a year as well.
Yeah. So yeah, there's I had that kind of revelation and thought. And then also just we were talking a little bit, maybe I don't know if we're recording yet or not, but just this notion that that when things happen in your life, good or bad, they always end up being for a purpose. And then to compound on that is having the faith to take action. And so an example of that is, I had a client of mine that called and said she had some properties that she wanted to sell, and it was easily one of the things I could have done. I could have said, well, I don't have anybody in mind. It's going to be too much work to figure it out. but I went ahead and I thought, and I did. I caught myself. Not to say I haven't done that before. I have probably passed up on countless opportunities because I'm too busy.
Yeah.
And so, but I took the time. I thought about it. I said, who are our buyers here? And I made some phone calls and actually put together the deal, and it closed. Closed in a matter of weeks. It's probably one of the easier transactions that I've had this year.
That's phenomenal. That's great.
Yeah, and it easily could have been. It could not have happened, and it wouldn't have been by any other force except the force inside my own head that would have made that not become a reality.
Yeah.
And so, and it's kind of it wasn't a huge deal. It's not like I'm going to retire tomorrow off of it, but definitely had a lot of lessons. And so, what applies on a small scale applies on a big scale too. So I started really thinking about what other stuff am I not taking enough action on and having enough faith in, and really looking at that as well. And even if and I always find too, it just opens up all these opportunities. So even if the deal particularly, or the event that you go to that you think, hey, there might be somebody here that's going to be able to help advance my business in this particular way, and you go to the event and maybe that doesn't happen exactly how you thought, but it opens up another door in a way that you could have never imagined. Absolutely. And I think the world works that way, and so, and particularly if you're attuned to it and you're looking for that sort of thing to happen. So,
anyway. And I know you hit on something that, what your mental aspect of what you think in your head, that pretty much happens, and it's been proven time and time again. We talk a lot about it at the show, mental toughness, mindset. And I'm going to talk about it again, because I'm so intrigued with the human mind and the conception and what you believe and what you hear. No matter what your faith, we all know that what you think between your two ears is more than likely what you're going to live on the outside perspective. And one of the things that happened yesterday was my daughter, she's 12, and she wanted to watch a Harry Potter movie, and we know she's old enough now to understand the different things because of religion or whatnot, but I watched it with her. And one of the things, it's the very last Harry Potter.
They get scarier.
They get scarier, yes. They get scarier and scarier. And I don't know, have you watched any of those movies?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The last
My
one?
wife's a huge.
Okay, so she's a huge fan. And then there's a lot of good versus evil and stuff. But at the very end, it's a very, very, like you said, it gets scarier and scarier. But it's a very intense scene at the end where Harry Potter, like he's in this chamber with his mentor who is in this like white room. You know what I'm talking about here? You seen that?
Dumbledore.
Yes. Oh, sorry, man. I need to up my Harry Potter game. But Harry Potter at the end asks him, "Is this for real or is this just in my head?" And then the guy goes, "Harry, it's all in your head." And then he disappears.
Crazy.
Gave me chills. Yeah, because that's just so much. If you take that life lesson just right there, that's pretty much what we talk about on this show. Because if we can get the community to believe in themselves or believe whatever it is they want to achieve, whatever goals they want to accomplish, then we have done our job.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things that we will continue to do on this show, is to drive it into people's minds, is what you believe, you think about, your
Probably reality.
you're probably right
And
about
the community is just a reflection, a culmination of the mindsets of the people within the community.
And then perception.
Yeah.
Perception is especially in a small town like this, I'm guilty of it too, is your perception like, oh, well, XYZ competitor, they don't know what they're doing, or somebody bad talks another company, or this happened to somebody else, especially it's happened in social media, I'm sure it's happened to everybody, where they take something out of context. They read something or something happens, they take it out of context. But you don't know what that person is going through. You don't know what that person felt. You think you're right, but they think they're right too. And it all gets out of context. So that's something also that we don't want people to be in a corner and think of, well, what does somebody think of me, or what if that person thinks of me this way and that way? You know, that's another battle that we talk about on this show, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, you know, assumptions that people make, and these scenarios that play out around in your mind that 99% of the time are not real. You know, I mean, that's something that we do to ourselves. The anxiety that we create in our lives, making these ridiculous assumptions. And again, it goes back to, and we've talked about it a lot of times, and it's how I look at it is, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but you know, if you're constantly worried about what other people are saying, what other people are thinking about you, what you're doing, you know, and I've been there, but what really helped me is to remember and remind myself that I'm just not that important.
Yeah.
But I'm not that I'm not important. I am important, obviously, my family and my friends. But people are busy. People have their own lives. They're not sitting there wasting their entire day thinking and talking about you. You're the one in your own mind that's creating all this crap in your head. And so, you know, I mean, again, like I said, I've been there before, but that's how I remind myself. I mean, look, you know, people have a lot of stuff going on. I'm not that important. And at the end of the day, there's only so much I can control in my life. I can't control what other people are going to do or say or anything like that. But it goes. So there's this really good documentary show on Netflix, and it's Michael Johnson, the sprinter. He was in the '96 Atlanta Games.
Gold shoes.
Yeah, he was a stud. He is a stud. He's still in great shape. But anyway, he has this documentary on Netflix, and it's called like the mind of the human body, or it's like the excellence of the human body, or something like that.
I have to check that out. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, but essentially what he talks about in there is how he's going over what the limitations are, and he talked about like Jesse Owens, and he showed like Usain Bolt and Jesse Owens on the 200 or 400. I don't remember exactly what it was, but Jesse Owens would have finished 14 feet behind Usain Bolt.
Wow.
14 feet. I mean, he would have got smoked. I mean, just absolutely smoked. And so,
interesting.
And they go over like, you know, what has happened over time, and what they really talk about. Obviously, the technology. There's all this stuff, but one of the things that they talked about, the difference maker, is mindset.
Yeah.
And these athletes have coaches, and they have mental people that help them mentally.
Yeah.
And that's how they're actually being able to squeeze this additional ability and talent out
Put
of
the body to the limits, right?
Yeah, the body has certain limitations, but the bigger limitations is the mind.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
awesome.
which is something you wouldn't think.
Which when you said Michael, I was thinking you were going to talk about Michael Phelps. Has he swam against that shark yet? Has he raced the shark yet? Oh man, I'm so waiting.
He's
for
going to
that.
race the shark?
Yeah, Shark Week, he's going to race the shark. I know that has no relevance to what you talked about, but can you imagine if he beats that shark? Oh man, I'm so excited. I gotta make sure. Why don't you look up when that is?
My money's on the shark.
Yeah. Oh man, Michael Phelps gonna beat that shark. But trying to discuss things on this show is a challenge, because there's a lot of things that we can talk about, but we have honed in on what business owners go through. And our weekly episodes, the entrepreneurs here in the city, it's just been such a blessing that all the things that we have learned about. And then our special episodes, as far as what we do on a weekly basis, I know that we put that on hold for a while, but we will continue to do that. And I know what's been your experience in doing that? Let's be honest on what you think. You want me to go first, or you on your weekly videos? Like we did a commitment, said, okay, you're gonna do your content on Mondays, I'm gonna do mine on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And I think yours is harder, because on Monday it's just harder to get going right after Sunday, because I'm sure you're thinking Sunday night, this is what I'm going to talk about. This is what. Whereas me myself on Wednesday, I kind of have a little bit of momentum. Yeah. So how's your experience on?
Yeah, I thought it was. I enjoyed doing them. I do enjoy doing them. I almost feel like which is counterintuitive to what we talked about. Like, I felt like less was more, and I had more interaction. People watched them as I did them every other week.
Yeah, and I think, to interrupt you there, I think also too is that when we started doing this, like, again, you said year anniversary, we're seeing a lot more Facebook Lives, a lot more Facebook Lives, and we kind of don't have the traction, which is kind of, I know, like Ada says, well, you got to be consistent. And then the other side is people see it all the time. They say, oh, they're doing another Facebook Live thing. So that's kind of something that we're fine tuning. But I think, or I know that our followers, especially individually too, is they want to hear that content. And again, we're not doing this for popularity contest, but we want to grow. Don't get me wrong, but I think the thing of it doing one weekly is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely. I mean, I like starting my week off that way, quite honestly.
Yeah, and it kind of helps you personally, right?
Yeah, it gets you started in the right direction. So, yeah. So it looks like we have our
video.
drops.
Press it. Let's play.
One trained to be the best since the day he
You
was
thought I was kidding, huh?
Yeah.
the other has been perfected by evolution. The great white shark meets the
You didn't get a date?
greatest of all time.
No good.
Phelps versus shark.
And
The battle for ocean
July 23rd. Mark your calendars. Sunday, July. I'll tell you what, Jerry. I'll tell you
10
what.
days.
Here's what I challenge you to start your Monday videos on Monday, July 24th, with a little synopsis on what happened on Shark Week with Michael Phelps.
I don't have cable.
I'm sure it's on the internet. Come on, it's gonna be everywhere. You can read at it at 6 in the morning.
It'll be on. I'm sure it'll be on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be on
But,
YouTube. Well, to sum up, we want to thank everyone for your support. And again, we have some different projects for the Yes Show. And our subscribers have been growing consistently. And as we put out more content, hopefully that will grow as well. And we haven't really advertised or anything. We try to keep everything local. But again, we do want to grow. And please follow us, like us, and share us. And on the weekly subscriptions, weekly episodes. Anything else?
Yeah, and just any feedback that you guys have. You know, if there's areas that you would like us to kind of talk a little bit more, or areas that you want us to touch on, or any kind of feedback that you might have, we welcome it. At the end of the day, it's all about making our community better, improving the community, and helping people out. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, and we will see you next week or even sooner.
Monday.
There you go. There you go.